Now it is time for a yearly tradition. I don't know how many years in a row we've been doing this. I think it's like 7 or 8 years in a row. But what we do is I go and I analyze the data dump that comes from Pornhub. And Pornhub has all sorts of interesting data that they will share. And they put it publicly on their website. Sources close to me. I have heard that pornography is popular on the internet. This may stun some of you, but the data reflects that at any given time, nearly half of all internet traffic is porn. Think about that for a minute. Half of the internet, everything, sports, news, message boards, current events, Taylor Swift arguments, celebrity news, all of that, half of the internet. The other half, porn, all right? And every year, Pornhub gives us a deep dive into what the data showed them. So I go through and I analyze this, and I say, okay, let's see what was most searched for. Every year we do the most searched for terms on the internet, and I try to analyze them as a 44-year-old guy. And every year, there are several things that are popular that I don't know what it is. Before we get started, I'll give you an example. When I was in college, if you tried to choke someone while you were hooking up with them, they would put you in jail, and no one would defend you. Now, you 20-year-olds are out there choking each other like crazy. Not like a UFC fight. You're having sex, like putting each other in headlocks, choking each other. Like, I don't even get it. It's all crazy to me. 20 years ago, they put you in prison for even saying that. Now you guys are out there choking each other out while you're having sex, and you're doing that in private, and then you 20-year-olds are all complaining that people are using words that hurt your feelings. I'm sorry, you're all a bunch of hypocrites. If you're choking each other out while you're naked having sex, I refuse to believe that somebody using a word on a college campus triggers you to such an extent that you feel like you're going to pass out. I'm just going to toss that out there. All right, here we go. Most search terms of 2023. Number one, and by the way, not only most searched, but how they've moved in the rankings. These are basically porn power rankings for 2023. Number one, hentai. And I feel like I looked this up before. I do not understand the world that I live in. I think this is like porn cartoons. I'm just going to say it. If you go on the internet and you watch porn cartoons to pleasure yourself, I think you should be in prison. I don't know what else you're into, but if you go on the internet filled with naked men and women, all different sorts of peccadillos, you can find anything that floats your boat, and you say to yourself, nah, I'm not really into humans. I really get turned on by cartoons having sex. You're into some freaky stuff. I think you should go to prison. I don't understand how this is number one. I really don't. You people are freaks. I don't understand this at all. Number two, I understand. Number two, they had a good year. They've risen one in the power rankings, MILFs. Now, some of you, the classic MILF, the mom I'd like to fuck, for those of you who don't know acronyms, the MILF is kind of like the vanilla ice cream of porn, maybe the chocolate ice cream of porn. It's always there for you. The MILF had a good year. The MILF surges one. Makes total sense to me. You hentai prisoners. MILFs, not surprised that MILFs had a good year. Second most searched term. Also not surprised here. It's hard to surprise me. Lesbians had a good year. Lesbians, tried and true. You can always rely on them. They're there to make out for you. They're there to scissor, as I understand. They're there to entertain. and bring Americans together. It's not a coincidence that LGBTQ, all that, it starts with the things that people like the most across the board, lesbians.
I was ecstatic recently when, of course, the first time I saw it, I believe, was on Twitter, when you posted this post, and it said something to the effect of women's sports aren't a transfer portal for mediocre male athletes, or something to that effect. And I thought what was so awesome was your caption. Where are the men? Where are the girl dads? I just want you to elaborate on that. What kind of compelled you to take that stand? I'll say unpopular stand. We both know it is the popular stand, but unpopular stand in terms of the media and kind of this cancel culture that we live in.
Well, it's interesting. Sage posted something a while ago, and she said something about men. She said men and women, like, where are you that are going to stand up? And honestly, I've heard your story for years. And I was like, how the heck is that even possible? Well, I worked in college football. I worked with the NCAA, and I know how bad they are at their job. So you knew it could be possible. I mean, just be calling a spade a spade. So like, I knew the story, and Sage said that, and I'm like, okay. To me, in my head, I looked at it like, this is a woman's thing. It's not my place. Like, that's the way my brain worked for a while. And now I'm like, you know what? No, it is my place. Like, again, new free opportunity or new freedom with where I'm at in life. But I'm like, how is this? And to me, this is very commonsensical. And I think to most people, it's very commonsensical. But I was like, you know what? You need to say something. You need to do something. And a lot of the stuff that I do, man, I'll be honest, it's a lot of it is, it's what's inside of me. It's Holy Spirit driven. Like, it's something I feel, okay, I need to do something with that. Like, I need to say something. I need to act. Like, well, I try to do that most of the time in my life. And I've seen it become more and more prevalent. And I'm like, all right, like, certainly at some point we need to understand, like, this isn't right. And do I need to go into the reasons why? Like, men have testosterone through the roof, women do not. Like, it's literally like telling me, like, hey, we're going to do a race car race, and one has an engine that's just ginormous and the other one's got this tiny little engine. Let's see who wins, and let's see who doesn't get hurt. Like, and I think my daughter, I've coached her since she's in third grade, and she's a basketball player, and she's a good hooper, and she loves hoops. And you start to go like, wait a minute, if she faces this, which now becomes more and more realistic, like, how am I going to feel about it? And so, like, it doesn't really affect me right now. But as you get older, you're starting to realize, like, dude, you got to stand up for what's right. And this is a very easy thing. Like, this is not difficult. This is not hard. Anybody who has something to say, I don't care in the slightest. Riley, I think one of the things God gave me a long time ago, I don't care what people think. I don't care what people say. I love when people ridicule me. Like, I thoroughly enjoy it. Like, and Reese Davis he was like, you're the only one that I've ever seen that actually enjoys the hatred on social media. I do. I like it. I don't know why, but I think it's funny. Like, I think, again, if something you have to say makes somebody so passionate about something, whether it's one direction or the other, your words matter. Like, what you say matter. And I love more than anything saying something on social media and then be like, God, I hate your opinion. I hate this, but I love that you stand for Jesus. And that's my favorite of all when I get something. So I think I've seen enough and I've been on the sidelines long enough where, like, I don't know what difference I can make, but, like, I'm dang sure going to try because it's definitely the right thing to do.
Well, I, of course, couldn't agree more. And I think we've been missing the men. And I think it's for the reason you said, and understandably so. It's hasn't been a men's issue. Men aren't necessarily impacted by women, of course, coming into their sports and losing out on opportunities, because that's not happening. It won't happen. It won't ever happen, at least at the most competitive level. So yeah, I don't think men saw it as their problem. At University of Kentucky, where we of course have a men's swim team and a women's swim team, when we were kind of going through all of this, and it was very influential on the women's team, the men kind of just laughed because objectively it was funny. They were like, oh my gosh, this is like a circus. Can't believe you guys have to deal with it. Have fun type of thing. And it's because they didn't feel threatened by it. But I agree, as these instances continue to happen, especially as a dad having a daughter of your own, I think more and more men will speak out.
Tens of thousands of invaders/Democrat voters are pouring across our southern border, and help is not on the way. But it's not rocket science. If these illegals were turned right back around and sent right back where they came from, they would stop paying cartels thousands of dollars to get into our country. Because you see, while they claim to all be refugees and asylum seekers with little more than the clothes on their back, that's actually a lie. Because you don't cross the border for free. There is no such thing as free passage. These illegal aliens pay the cartel, and they pay them thousands and then suck off the American taxpayer once they get through. And if you're not outraged by this, you probably don't have a pulse. Hell, even New York City Mayor Eric Adams is outraged. He's made it known the Biden administration is not doing anything, and help is not on the way.
We are at an untenable situation right now, and it is painful for us. It is painful for the city, and I think that you see it being reflected in the polls. It is because our federal government actions have taken a toll on the people of this city. We're going to continue to do our job in this administration, but these are extremely challenging times, and as I left Washington, D.C., I did not leave with optimism. I left with the cold reality that help is not on the way in the immediate future.
Yeah, it's a problem, all right, a massive problem, but I fail to see the challenge. Why is this such a hard concept? These people are walking right on in, and yet these so-called leaders are acting like they're being beamed down from an undetectable spaceship. No, you're letting them in. You're feeding them, you're clothing them, you're sheltering them. You are allowing this to happen. This is a choice. That's why I get so frustrated talking about this every week. It's a solvable problem that no one with power wants to solve. They just keep putting their fingers in the fire and acting shocked when they get burned, or I guess more accurately, when we get burned because these lawmakers aren't feeling a damn thing. And they claim they can't stop the flow due to asylum laws. Well, guess who was sent by the American people to make and change laws? Y'all, so get to work. So there are three divas fighting for the spotlight right now, and they are as follows: Taylor Swift, Kim Kardashian, and Volodymyr Zelensky. But unlike Kim K and T Swift, Voldemort over there has absolutely nothing to offer us, and his little spotlight self-aggrandizing appearances don't come with shapewear or dance numbers. Just him demanding billions from Americans who can barely afford Christmas and are already funding millions of the world's people thanks to Joe and our wide-open southern border. Apparently, the $113 billion is not enough for Voldemort, also apparently not enough for him to afford a suit, as he is groveling for more, and his little elves, McConnell, Schumer, Haley, and Graham, are more than happy to oblige at our expense. And let's not forget the most generous elf of all, Papa Brandon.
Thank you. Before the press, hey, whoa, hush up a second, okay? I got one more thing to say. I've just signed another $200 million drawdown from the Department of Defense for Ukraine, and that'll be coming quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Oh, how generous. Well, this is Z-Boy's third visit to Congress since the war began, and he's even more desperate this time around, given the Israel-Hamas war has eaten up some of his me time. The only thing our leaders should be engaging with him about is where the hell our billions have gone. He is the Ukrainian Grinch, and he has already sucked us dry enough. Voldemort is a crooked jerky jockey, and he drives a crooked horse, and he should leave.
Happy birthday to Taylor. We talk about you all the time on the show, so this is very, very appropriate. But the question is, what do you give the most famous person in the world? She's a self-made billionaire. She can do and buy whatever she wants when she wants. So Travis Kelce, I have to imagine, definitely feeling maybe a little bit of pressure right now. So when you look at the different ways that he could go, the different routes, one is sentimental, which is always a good route to go down, right? Maybe a gold bracelet, number 87 on it, that's his jersey number, in diamonds. a little bit of an ode to how this whole relationship started in the first place. If you forgot, we've got the receipts. Watch this.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, I know you went to the Taylor Swift concert. How was it?
Yeah, well, I was disappointed that she doesn't talk before or after her shows because she has to save her voice for the 44 songs that she sings. So I was a little butthurt I didn't get to hand her one of the bracelets I made for her.
You made her a bracelet?
Yeah, if you're up on Taylor Swift concerts, there are friendship bracelets, and I received a bunch.
You know, it's easy to forget how cute this relationship really is. I mean, there's all the headlines and the big this, that, but it really is at the core of this, it really is cute. He wanted to give her a friendship bracelet at her concert, and he was bummed that she wouldn't be able to talk to him before or afterwards, so he wasn't able to give it to her. So this actually would be the cutest gift ever. And not to mention, I feel like because it's Taylor Swift, just like down the road, if she's looking for some extra money, which, I mean, she's not, and she's never going to, but I feel like this bracelet is just going to be so invaluable, worth millions and millions and millions of dollars, because Taylor and Travis, unofficially, they're America's royal couple. So, speaking of diamonds, we also know deep down, maybe I'm being a little too assuming, maybe she wants a diamond ring. If you get what I'm saying, engagement ring. But maybe too soon? I don't know. Wouldn't that be just the biggest twist if he gave her an engagement ring and she said yes and they were suddenly engaged on her birthday after months of dating? But I don't know. I feel like, I don't know, my gut is telling me she might actually say yes. But if Travis is not ready for that type of commitment, which I would totally understand, because again, they've only been dating for a few months, but he also doesn't want to go the material route, he could always go in a completely different direction. I feel like maybe writing a really cute song chronicling the course of their relationship, have it recorded like professionally in a studio, and then serenade her with it. That would be super cute. And he already has that Christmas song that he put out with his brother that went to the top of the charts. So I feel like this is something he would be good at. But also I felt like it was appropriate to ask all of you on social media what you felt like would be a good gift for Taylor, the girl that has everything, all the money, can do everything. So a couple of things that I got in response. One, Travis should put a baby in her. Also, not a horrible idea. I feel like the ring should come before the baby, but I like the thought process. I like the road we're going down here. Another one I got, a competent wide receiver room. Not a bad idea, because if the Chiefs are winning and Travis is happy, healthy, I feel like Taylor also will be much happier. Also will paint her in a very positive picture. And, I mean, come on, let's face it. We all want to see her at the Super Bowl. Taylor Swift in a Chiefs jersey at the Super Bowl, does it get much better than that? No. Final thing that I got that I really enjoyed, and I actually think this might be, in her opinion, the best gift that she could ask for. For a day, let her just be a regular person. Leave her alone. That means no attention from fans, the media. The girl just gets a day of peace. This to me is the winner right here. I feel like she would appreciate this so much, especially if she gets to do it with Travis by her side. I don't think it's realistic to be out in New York City, for example, doing this, but if you can find a very remote island, like a really nice, beautiful private resort where they can just be by themselves, enjoy each other's company. I mean, he's got football to play, obviously, but whatever. We're just painting this picture in our heads. I feel like that would be the greatest gift that she could possibly ask for.
The NFL players have had enough of referees. It is another consequence of diversity, D, equity, E, inclusion, I, that the NFL, in its infinite wisdom, decided was the most important thing about officiating. Not talent, not experience, none of it. DEI. Veteran officials were let go. Younger officials were brought up. Women were made sure to be brought up. And if anyone's seen the biggin that's perusing the sideline on one of these crews that can't get up and down, all you got to do is think women's national championship game, LSU and Iowa. By the way, I forgot to call Kim Mulkey back. It was actually her assistant who wants to talk about our podcast. That won't go well for the assistant when I call him back. Anyway, here's the deal. NFL player Myles Garrett. Now, this isn't Patrick Mahomes losing his mind. This is Myles Garrett. NFL player Myles Garrett. The officiating and remember, Garrett's team won, was a travesty today. It was honestly awful. Respect to those. They have a hard job, but we have a hard job as well. I got a lot of respect for those guys, but we get scrutinized for plays we don't make, and someone has to hold them accountable for the calls they don't make. They need to be under the same microscope as we are every single play. All right. But here's what I would ask Myles Garrett. I would ask Myles Garrett this. Do you know the punishment for an NFL official that makes bad calls? And the answer is going to be, well, there is no punishment. No, there is. No. Every call they make or don't make, every play is scrutinized, every play is watched, every play is reported on. I don't have the answer. I tried to look into it. Now, everything ranges from being taken off games, fines, losing assignments in the postseason, being downgraded. Basically losing your opportunity to be the guy that stands with the microphone. But a lot of white dudes lost that opportunity a while back. I know we're not supposed to say that, but I know NFL officials, and NFL officials have told me, oh, yeah, we know the deal. And it makes it very difficult because when you have somebody that's no good and inexperienced or there because of anything other than being great, it hurts the entire crew. How many flags did we see on Sunday that got picked up for no foul? A veteran NFL told me that should happen once a year. That should not happen 4 times in a half as it did in one of the games I was watching. I can't remember which game now. Oh, well, there was really no foul. Why? Because of inexperience. Because the guy running the ship said, really? Is that what you saw? Look, I'm not even mad at the offsides. The offsides is fine, but I've told you this forever, and I'll keep telling you this. But no white guy wants to say this, right? Every white guy runs scared. But the NFL made a decision a couple of years ago, actually longer, to go younger, more diverse, female. And you're seeing it. Hey, not that the older guys didn't make mistakes. Everybody made mistakes, particularly early in the year, but it's never been like this. It's never been where players are like, yo, this stinks. It's tough to swallow. We go on. Not only for me and football in general, to take away greatness like that for a guy like Travis to make a play like that, you want to see the guys on the field decide the game. They're human. Make mistakes. Every week we talk about something. It's a call. I've never had offensive offsides call. Well, I got to tell you, you can complain all you want, Mahomes, but you're just looking like a whiner. That call had to be made. The other problem you have with NFL officiating, and I think this is a big problem, DEI, huge problem, replay, massive problem. I've said this before, I'll say this again. When you are an official, the last thing that you can have is any doubt in your mind. I've talked to officials, black, white, I've talked to them. Now, the women, that's a whole different deal. As the late, great John Adams, former legendary head of officials in college basketball, said there are 9 women officiating college basketball, 8 of whom should not even do 7th grade games. But they're women. They get bumped up, and we got to watch. You think those were the 3 best officials, LSU against Iowa in the national championship game? Are you insane?
Where we do agree is, while he had a great year, there was another quarterback that we would have voted for number 1 in the Heisman vote, and one that I was hoping we would have seen win the Heisman Trophy Saturday.
Quite frankly, I don't understand how it was not a slam dunk that Michael Penix Jr. was the Heisman Trophy winner. I don't get it. And I'm tired of trying to figure out the Heisman voting process and how they come to these conclusions. And I want to make this just like last Monday, not a knock on the winner, Jaden Daniels. Just like I tried to make it not anti-Alabama, who had a great season and a great win for the SEC championship, right? It was more pro-FSU. Let me go pro-Michael Penix Jr. here. Let's start with the stats because everyone wants to point at the stats. Jaden Daniels, this is passing stats. 3,812 yards, 40 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a QBR of 95.7. Very good. Michael Penix Jr. had 4,218 yards, 33 touchdowns to 9 interceptions, 83.4 QBR. Michael Penix Jr. also went 13-0, where Jaden Daniels went 9-3 at LSU. The difference between the two players is Michael Penix Jr. rushed for minus 26 yards, and Jaden Daniels rushed for over 1,000 and 10 more touchdowns, accounting for 50 overall. I'm not going to get into a statistical argument because Jaden Daniels had better stats because he was a running quarterback. Michael Penix Jr. is a straight pocket passer with expert precision that ran a very complex Kalen DeBoer offense like a Swiss watch. That thing was ticking perfectly at all times. He was on time. He was ready to go. He was the one to orchestrate that offense. I will say this and be really clear about it. I don't think Jaden Daniels could run the Washington offense the way Michael Penix Jr. did. Do I think that Michael Penix Jr. could put up really good numbers in Brian Kelly's offense? Yes. Is he going to put up the rushing numbers? No. Jaden Daniels is a better rusher. So if you want just someone who's a better rusher at quarterback to win the Heisman, okay. Jaden Daniels has superior stats. But I see the Heisman Trophy as more than just a statistics award. Stats matter. Absolutely. What you've done on the field and your stats should matter and factor into the Heisman Trophy. But it's also something that it needs to be a story generator. You need to have Heisman moments. You need to be, I think, on a good team. Hey, I don't think Paul Hornung in 1956 had any business winning the Heisman Trophy at 2-8 over Johnny Majors in Tennessee. Another screw job for Tennessee for the Heisman Trophy, by the way. And I'm not saying that Jaden Daniels is some loser because he was on an LSU team that went 9-3. He's not. But he's not 13-0. And while I don't want to make this a popularity contest of just give it to the best player on the best team in college football and be done with it, I don't think it's that kind of award. I think it's a hodgepodge of all of it. I think having Heisman moments and being a great story and being on an undefeated team and having great stats, all of those things matter. And you got to factor it in. Whatever your ratio is each year, that's dependent on you as a voter. I'm just telling you that when I look at those four finalists and I see that Penix Jr. was great against Oregon, not once but twice, and 2-0 against Bo Nix, and I see their team is undefeated, and I see he's got more passing yards and some better passing stats than Jaden Daniels, I put all of it together and I say, that's a no-brainer Heisman Trophy winner. But instead, while the vote was the closest it's been since 2018, it goes to Jaden Daniels. Make it make sense. I can't when it comes to the Heisman Trophy. Hud and I thought this was going to be a slam dunk. I know Vegas disagreed, and they were right. But if I have a Heisman vote, it's Michael Penix Jr. winning the Heisman Trophy this year.
I agree with that. The slam dunk for me, though, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, was Bo Nix. I thought it was going to be a slam dunk for him. The Heisman vote, primarily, you mentioned the popularity contest. I don't know how popular this four-pack was this year, right? That's why it didn't go to the popular vote. It still went to the groupthink vote, though. And there was a big media push for Jaden Daniels on the weekend where he didn't play.
Look, Dak Prescott is supposed to be like the MVP candidate du jour now.
Yeah.
He's like, everybody's picking Dak as the MVP now. Not me, but everybody else is picking Dak.
Well, who do you go with? Do you go with Purdy over Dak?
Absolutely. No doubt. At this point, right now.
This point right now, you go Purdy over Dak. I'm sure you probably got Tyreek Hill as number one, but you might have Lamar Jackson moving up. But how do you put Purdy over Dak?
Let me tell you what's going to happen with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is not going to win MVP, I don't think.
No, I don't think so either.
First of all, he doesn't play quarterback, and a lot of these voters, of which I am one, they're going to vote for the quarterback.
Quarterback or running back, yes.
Exactly. He is probably going to win Offensive Player of the Year.
Tyreek.
So, yeah.
Yes.
So you heard it here first. Tyreek Hill, and especially if he gets to the 2000, which he kind of got off course last night, if he gets to there, Offensive Player of the Year in the NFL. MVP, Purdy. I mean, come on now. So let's compare, shall we? I'm glad you asked.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I prepared for this, but I prepared for this. So yards, Passing yards. Purdy, 35.53. Dak, 35.05. Purdy is number 2. Dak is number 3. Rating. Purdy, 116.9. Number 1. Dak, 107.5. Number 2. Touchdowns. Purdy is tied for second with 25. Dak is first with 28. And then completion percentage, Purdy is second, 70.2. Dak is fifth, 68.3. So in most of the stats that matter, Purdy's better. And, oh, by the way, his team destroyed the Cowboys. And head-to-head in that game, Purdy threw 4 touchdown passes. Dak threw 3 interceptions. So how am I going to pick Dak?
Well, Dak has been playing lights out as of late. I will say that the last 5 weeks he's been playing lights out as of late. Now, Purdy, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Purdy. Purdy has definitely been playing outstanding, and his team has been playing great. And so I think more of you would have to look at who's more of the focus on their football team, their offense. Is Purdy the focus on that offense, or is it McCaffrey and Deebo Samuels? Because when Deebo Samuels went out and Trent Williams was out, Purdy was not Purdy. Purdy was almost like Tua Tagovailoa. And so when they got back, yeah, it's what we've seen so far. Dak has been consistent over the last 5, 6, 7 weeks at this particular point. So it's going to be a great race going forward. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Purdy because before the 3-game slide, I had Purdy in that top 3 with Christian McCaffrey as well. But it's going to be interesting going forward and exciting to watch for not only for us, but all of our fans.
You know what's going to decide it, and it's going to be a close race, and it has been, is the schedule.
Yeah.
Because Dak, like we just mentioned, he's got to play the Bills.
Yeah.
He's got to play the Dolphins. He's got to play the Lions, and then the Commanders. And Purdy plays the Cardinals, the Ravens, the Commanders, and the Rams. So, and it would suggest that Dak has a tougher road, right?
Right.
But if he plays well and really well against that tougher road, he's going to win it because you raised your game against very good competition, whereas Purdy against the Cardinals or the Commanders, really? But
what if he struggles? What if Purdy struggles versus the Commanders and the Rams too? Don't sleep on that Rams rival is pretty big. So if he struggles in those 2 of them, and Dak, say if Dak struggles maybe in 2, versus like who knows? I mean, maybe Commanders and the Bills,
Lions,
or
Dolphins, and Bills.
Yeah.